and welcome to the Tata Coffee Limited Q3 FY2022 earnings conference call hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star and then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Aniruddha Joshi from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Inba. On behalf of ICICI Securities, we welcome you all to Q3 FY22 results conference call of Tata Coffee Limited. We have with us senior management of the company, represented by Mr. Jaco Thomas, Managing Director and CEO, and Mr. Venkataraman, Executive Director, Finance and CFO. Now I hand over the call to the management for the initial comments on the quarterly performance, and then we will open the floor for question and answers. Thanks, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anirudh. Good evening, everyone. This is Jaco Thomas. Thank you for joining in today. I'm pleased to report that we had a successful quarter in the midst of multiple headwinds and obviously the scare of a new variant, which is across most of the geographies that we represent. The present operating environment was kind of hit by high commodity prices and logistics costs. Also, we had certain lags in the supply chain network. We also had some impact of the price pressures on and in several markets that we serve. And despite all this, I think the entire company, all the divisions have actually delivered a good financial performance for quarter 3. Standalone revenue from operations went up by 40% as compared to the same quarter of the previous year. That is 220 crores as opposed to about 158 crores in the previous period. The standalone PAT was also up 3%, and we obviously had a positive impact of some of the factors which I had mentioned shortly, which is again netted off against the inflationary price increases in energy, packing, and these basically the higher gross margins in instant coffee. Again, on account of some lower carrying costs. We also had pretty superior price realizations on the coffee. And definitely we took advantage of the improved terminals that existed during the quarter. In the instant coffee arena, both India and Vietnam, both the manufacturing, all the 3 manufacturing plants have actually operated at near peak capacity and have delivered strong and fairly well balanced sales across key markets of Europe, Russia, Southeast Asia, etc. Despite the impact of logistics and supply chain which were there. Sales grew by about 39% in India and about 12% in Vietnam over similar period of last year. We also managed to keep costs very well under check, and this was done to meet some of the challenges of the increased cost of raw materials as we progressed during the quarter. There was a good amount of work that was actually done on premiumization and new product development also during the course of the quarter. Given the continued headwinds, particularly on the input costs, which we expect during the coming quarters, our strategic efforts and initiatives that we would be taking to counter this would be around further premiumizing our products, optimizing costs, and of course the order books, which we will further strengthen and accelerate to negate some of the pressures that we see coming. On coffee, the harvest for this season has commenced, and halfway through. Pepper obviously is still to start. And on the terminals, these terminals are actually stabilized now. Some of the reasons being the new estimates of crop that is actually coming in from Brazil, which suggests that the coming crop would be fairly normalized. And of course, on the Robusta front, both Vietnam and Brazil also coming up with numbers that are expected to be fairly buoyant. On tea, I think there was an impact of bad weather, and considering that the previous year there was an exceptional year for tea, where record prices were prevalent, I think things have normalized a bit. But of course, we feel that there is a considerable amount of improvement that we can do in the performance by the investments that we are currently undertaking in the tea operations. On a consolidated level, I think the revenue from the operations at 626 crores compared to 533 crores of in the previous year same quarter, an increase of about 18%, has been primarily driven by the improved performance of 8 o'clock and the other value-added business, including some parts of the plantations also. The consolidated profit again shows an increase of 38% compared to the similar period of last year. Just take a couple of minutes to call out some of the awards that we won, recognitions that we have received during the quarter. Again, it's a testament to our commitment towards quality, sustainability, safety, and other operational and functional aspects. We did win a very prestigious award for one of our estates for the best coffees in the world for our Jambur estate. We won a couple of awards on sustainability and how sustainable we are on our agriculture by FICCI. A couple of export awards from various organizations, and of course on health, safety, and environment, a few awards. So all in all, this quarter was pretty impressive in terms of the recognitions that we received too. To conclude, I just wanted to mention that we will be navigating some of the challenges in the next few months by sustaining the momentum that we have built up on cost optimization, premiumization, and take advantage of the coffee prices and pepper prices that are prevalent, and we hope to continue to give a steady performance going into the next quarter too. I'll hand over to Venkat now, who would give you a snapshot of the financial performance for the quarter.
Thanks, Chacko. Good afternoon to all. So, as Chacko has mentioned, this has been a good quarter for the company, both on the standalone and consolidated levels. The standalone has got benefit of the increased coffee prices as well as on the pepper prices. Instant coffee has had a good quarter with higher volumes being exported, and also benefit of the raw material cost due to inventories carried forward. On the cost side, we have had some impact on account of inflationary impact, especially in power and fuel, and also in some bit on logistics in an overall sense. That is on the standalone front. On the consolidated front, both on 8 o'clock and Tata Coffee Vietnam, they have both done well. 8 o'clock has had the benefit of improved price realizations to offset some of the commodity cost increases. And overall, for the quarter, the EPS has gone up from 1.69 of the previous year to 2.37, with an overall improvement in the net profit, net of non-controlling interest at 25 crores compared to 18.66 crores. So with this, I hand over for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who has a question may press star and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We will take our first question from the line of Aniruddha Joshi from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so before the question queue assembles, just 2-3 questions from my side. If you can share our connect with Tata's Starbucks and the sourcing that Starbucks is doing from us. That is first question. So if you can elaborate on that, it will be good. And second is the coffee prices have gone up considerably upwards. So how do you see the coffee prices and any outlook that you would like to share on the same? And whenever the coffee prices are higher, whether Tata Coffee is a net beneficiary or does it get impacted? I understand the standalone business may suffer slightly, but 8 O'Clock is a net beneficiary. So overall, at the console level, how do you see the impact or benefit on the company? Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, fine. I will answer the first one on the Starbucks. Starbucks, we have dedicated roastery for Starbucks in Kushal Nagar, and their volumes have been expanding in line with the expansion of the Starbucks stores. We supply roasted coffee beans to Tata Starbucks in India, and we are the sole and exclusive supplier of the Arabica beans to Tata Starbucks stores in India. So that is on the Starbucks, and we have had with the benefit of, we are very proud of the association with Starbucks, and it has been a good kind of good partnership for us in that sense. On the question of the coffee prices, yes, in the sense, as Niruddha knows, we have two businesses in the sense, one is the plantation businesses where we don't use our own produce in the instant coffee business because that's a different kind of grades which we require. So in that sense, definitely the coffee prices would benefit the standalone business, including which also I just want to add pepper also along with it. But pepper also the prices have been good. On the instant coffee business, it is more like akin to an FMCG business where there is price offset possible there. So that way the margins are well protected in that sense from an overall perspective. And the 8 O'Clock is definitely a branded business where of course with a lag price increases do happen. Yeah, on the coffee.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. This is the operator. Maybe request you to just move the telephone device a little closer to you and speak, as your audio is sounding a bit muffled.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So Chaco will answer the query on the outlook of coffee prices.
Yeah. So on coffee prices, as I mentioned, I think with the normalization of the crop expected in Brazil, and also the talk of the crop in Robusta also to be fairly decent as far as Vietnam is concerned, and also in Brazil, which is the second largest producer of Robusta coffee. I think the coffee prices, in our opinion, would be steady going forward. We do not see a huge spike coming. What you have to remember at this point in time is that coffee prices compared to where they were last year are substantially higher. So we expect these coffee prices to at least be there for the next 5 or 6 months till the next actual crop from Brazil starts coming into the market. That's the understanding that we have at the moment.
Okay. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take our next question, we would like to remind participants to ask a question. You may enter star and 1. Our next question is from the line of Hemant, an individual investor. Please go ahead. Mr. Hemant, can you please unmute your line and go ahead with your question?
Sir, congratulations on a very good set of numbers. Sir, I would like to know the outlook for FY23 and if you can give us the breakup as far as plantation and other businesses are concerned. I just want to see that the revenue split basically.
FY23
Or 22-23.
Yes, sir.
That is for the financial year
22-23 or 23-24?
No, that is for financial year 22-23, sir. Next year. Next fiscal year.
next fiscal
And also,
year.
sir, the revenue split.
Revenue split.
No, revenue split is broadly like this. See, I don't know because for the future we are not giving any guidance in that sense. But normally what happens is around the 60% will be our instant coffee extraction business and the balance will be plantation business. At a consolidated level, plantation business will be still lower. That's a kind of overall split.
Okay, sir. And sir, any guidance on margin?
No, we don't give guidance to the margin. Very difficult because coffee being a commodity with the futures and all that, it's difficult to predict the outlook on coffee prices in that sense. So we would not like to give any guidance on the margins. But obviously, the management intention is to, of course, protect and grow the margin. That's the overall sense.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. Our next question is from the line of Lokesh Maru from Nippon India Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Congratulations on amazing results for this quarter.
Thank you.
My first question is to actually understand the current scenario. You had mentioned that we have benefited from the inventory carryover, the lower cost. I won't call it low cost, but the relatively lower cost inventory from last quarter. And how do you see any jump due to high coffee prices at the moment? Do you see any jump in our raw material RM cost, let's say, for the next quarter, or do you expect the sales and our gross margin to remain steady as we have seen the jump that we have seen for this quarter?
So the benefit of this is like this. So just to put the things in the perspective. No, we normally carry some inventory. So obviously, because it all, we have to import the coffee and all that. So the benefit on account of higher carriage will not get repeated over a period of time. So that will catch up. So that is like any other FMCG business that I explained to you, because in a moment, the increased coffee being coming to the system, then the coffee, sales also will get priced on that basis. So the benefit on account of the carriage will obviously, it will not be a repeatable instance over a long period of time. But then the market prices get reset.
So it will get reset and, there is obviously a hike in price that we would be looking at. So I think that's where the situation is.
So that is supposed to affect the margins for 8 o'clock coffee, if I understand correctly, right?
No, in the sense, it's like this. No, see, FMCG business, typically what happens is, the price increases take place with a lag.
Yes.
Because I know that, everybody will be impacted by the coffee cost, which is a large proportion of the cost. For us, the raw material proportion of the raw material cost in the overall cost structure is high. So to that extent, all the players who produce will pass on the price increases over a period of time.
Yes.
But there will be a lag, that's all.
Right. Just to understand from business point of view for Tata Coffee, it is plantations basically form 15% of our total revenues. Next is the major part is from the subsidiary, which is 8 o'clock coffee. And then there is another third business, which is roasting and grounding, which is basically instant coffee processing business, right? So what would be the breakup for instant coffee processing and compared to 8 o'clock coffee? For 8 o'clock coffee, the process is from start till the end, right? Right from sourcing raw material till the retailing out in the market. So how would the split look like for 8 o'clock versus instant coffee processing versus plantation? Plantation is quite straightforward, is 15%, but for the other two businesses.
See, if you look at our results, we have already overall our turnover will be in the consolidated turnover is about 1,700 for the 9 months is about 1,700 crores, 1,700 crores. And we have also given information that the 8 o'clock coffee, the total income is about 127 million. So from there you can sort of get the figure.
Yes, the rough figure that I got from there was somewhere around 950 CR. If I am not wrong, and assuming a quarterly run rate of that sort, one can assume somewhere around 1,300. And given last year's revenue of 2,255 CR and subtracting 360 from there, so I'm guessing the one which is left over should be the instant coffee processing business.
Yeah, instant coffee processing business has got two legs. One is the India business and the Vietnam business.
Vietnam business, yes.
Correct.
8,000 and 5,000 of capacity across both. So, yeah. And the 8,000 capacity production which we taken comes under our standalone business, right?
Yeah, 8,000, close to 8,000 is standalone business.
5,000 is subsidiary.
In Vietnam, yeah.
Right. Again, just to come to the balance sheet part, given the cash flow that we are generating now, given the profitability and the margins being sustained in this environment, are we seeing can you guide from last fiscal to this fiscal, what is the reduction in debt portion we are looking at by any chance?
No, debt portion is the standalone. There is no debt. It's the net the net cash equivalent is positive. The debt is in both in the Tata Coffee Vietnam, because that is a project finance funded debt about right now about in terms of project funding it's about 30 odd million is there in debt. And 8 o'clock also has got legacy debt which keeps coming down.
Right. On 8 o'clock, since the numbers were like, let's say for last 9 months last year, the sales were 131 million USD. This year we were 127 million USD. But this quarter has been quite strong for 8 o'clock coffee, right? So any commentary on that front, how the quarter has been and how are you looking? What was the growth exactly for 8 o'clock and what's your outlook on that?
So 8 o'clock has had a good quarter because the one is of course as the coffee prices they have as I mentioned some part of price realizations have improved in line with the sort of not fully recovered but in sort of some part of recovery that's happening through the prices, and also in terms of the channel mix, in terms of volumes and all that, while the basic bag business is not see, one thing you have to understand is that because of last year some of this pantry filling has had the kind of favorable impact in some quarters. The first 2 quarters where there were a lot of pantry filling which happened, and then it slowly got kind of normalized. So the comparisons will be sort of may not be completely appropriate because we are also going through this pandemic phase in that sense.
Right.
Yeah, but otherwise 8 o'clock has had a very good quarter. In terms of overall mix and improved realization.
Okay. Just to confirm from the operator, can I ask next question or should I go back in the line?
So you may proceed. That's fine.
Sure. Very simple questions actually. I was going through the annual report and it was quite fascinating and impressive to actually look at the Vriksha Ayurveda, the pest control thing which the company has taken up. So, and another part was diversifying into pisciculture, apiculture, and avocado production. Any commentary, any color on how this part is shaping up, and even on the agricultural front, the R&D into improving the yields and that from the plantation front, how is that coming up?
So I didn't catch the first question. It was on.
It was on Vriksha Ayurveda. It was basically the R&D done in-house for pest control, Vedic agriculture practice followed by the company.
Yeah. So
recently.
That is actually something that we have been doing for our for some of the challenges that we have found around, say, pea mosquito bug or pipe stem borer, which are pretty endemic problems that the plantations are facing. At the moment, it seems that we have still some way to go in being able to call that project a success. But frankly, that is something that will also take its own time for it to be, for the results to be, for us to call saying that the results are positive. Because it has to be carried out in a very small area, then it has to be increased in terms of its acreage, etc. On the second question around the diversification projects, yes, these have begun in right earnest. We do feel that at some point in time, that is not very long from now, in a year or two, we would be having the first crop of, say, avocados. We've already started harvesting some of the pisciculture work that we are doing, and also some part of the apiculture. But these are things work in progress. But huge potential that we see in order to shore up some of the plantation profitability going forward. Avocado, for example, just to give you a sense of where we hope to be. We hope to be in the end of the next couple of years, the largest producer of avocado in India. Obviously, avocado has to there is a gestation period to it, and that gestation period, once that is done, I think we would be in a very, very good space in that sense. On the work that we are doing in R&D, we have a fairly elaborate setup that we have for research in not just coffee but also in pepper, in tea, and also and using some of the things that we have done in the R&D, for example, creating newer clones, higher yielding varieties. So there is a host of things that we are doing, and in fact we've also looked at using the R&D to say study, for example, how can you improve soil fertility, how can you improve yields coming from the field. Right, a lot of digitization work and a lot of technology is being actually utilized to try and see whether we can improve per unit area, per hectare profitability from plantations. So a host of very interesting things that are happening in the plantations. Hope I have answered your question. If not, I can.
Yes. I had also checked the Sonnets brand. It looks actually quite impressive, very impressive. How are we actually planning the marketing, etc. for that? So just to give you one more context, the company which you were in before, like Triple T Munna, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
When I visited the place and when I actually tried all the flavors, all the flavors from green tea, white tea, and all of them, One thing I had a question in mind. The first question was actually why is such a brand and such a tea not really being marketed, very widely across the country. And similar question I had for Sonnets, which the reviews and everything are quite impressive. The Arabica, 100% Arabica coffee produced by Tata in India it actually looks quite impressive on the face of it. So how are you planning to, go around the strategy part of managing the Sonnets brand?
Yeah, Sonnets is, as from the outset, many thanks for, using our products. And Sonnets is, as you rightly mentioned, it is 100% Arabica specialty, Arabica, single origin Arabica. And they are currently marketed through Tata Consumer, which is the marketing, arm for the group. And they have been doing an excellent job in terms of, reaching out. But the Sonnets is more available on a online e-commerce platform. So that's the reason. And then again, as we mentioned, these are all single origin specialty Arabica. To that extent, it may not be a mass play, in that sense.
Right. Understood. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for answering, and all the best for coming quarters.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any participant who wishes to ask a question may enter star and one. Our next question is from the line of Karan from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir. Really sorry I joined a bit late, so this has already been answered. What is the capacity utilization of the Vietnam plant and how is the profitability looking there? If you could elaborate on that.
So, Karan, capacity utilization is very high in the around 98%. On profitability, we don't want to disclose at this stage. But suffice to say that the it has already broken even and it's doing quite well in that sense. So the path to higher profitability is also being looked at, being visible. That's what I would like to say.
Just to add there, Karan, I think the Vietnam plant, as Venkat mentioned, at almost close to 100% capacity is a testament to the fact that there is good demand and there is good returns from the plant. So I think that's where we would like to.
Yeah. But having said that, one has to remember that there has been some disproportionate increases in the ocean freight. Those things have to have to correct itself. And I think the potential is much bigger in Vietnam for the Vietnam plant.
Thank you, sir. Also, just want to check, given that the new variant Omicron is there, are you seeing any pantry loading in your 8 o'clock coffee, etc.? Because that was earlier also.
Yeah, we are not seeing that in this space because people have been vaccinated and they have got used to this is not like the first wave. So we are not seeing that sharply. That's what we can say.
Okay. And so how do you see when we see the tea prices have currently flattened, they are not very inflationary. At the same time, the coffee prices are going up. So do you see that, there is a swap between the consumers of consumption, like tea consumers switch to coffee or coffee consumers switch to tea? Is there any evidence of that?
No such evidence, Karan. There's no evidence of coffee switching to tea in that sense. Because the fundamentals of consumer demand and taste profiles are different. So there's no switch as such we are seeing in that sense. But definitely one thing is very clear that people would like to experiment in coffee in a big way because that's what you are seeing in the market also. That in terms of a hugely successful Tata stores out of home consumption. All those trends are definitely aiding coffee very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to our participants, if you wish to ask a question, you may enter star and one. Our next question is from the line of Jayant Mamania from Care PMS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. My first question is on plantation side. The plantation revenue is up from 67 to 93 crores, and you said that due to lower production on the tea side, we could not improve our performance on the plantation. Can you tell us what is the absolute rise in coffee prices that we saw in this quarter as compared to corresponding quarter? Coffee and pepper.
See, I can give you some numbers. The only thing is, may not be the reflect, because see, what happens is, in absolute terms, to really look at it on the terminals, if you want, is a different way of looking at it. But when we look at, in terms of rupee terms, there are other factors which come into play, because exchange rates and all that will come.
Also, I think that valuation impact.
Yeah, so the realization, if you really see, maybe in the rupee terms per kg, overall could have gone up by. That again would depend on Arabica and Robusta. Robusta prices have not gone up to that extent. So on the Arabica side, definitely it has moved up. So that's the kind of definitely on the Robusta it has not moved up by that much in rupee terms, maybe around 10 rupees. But Arabica has moved up much in a larger sense.
So what should be the reason for Robusta price not going up?
So there is Robusta prices haven't moved up as much as Arabica, primarily because there was never a shortage or the news of any shortage flashed around anywhere in the in the market. Because if you remember, all the talk has been about how Brazilian crop has come down, and the impact of frost and impact of drought, etc. So that's the reason why Robusta has not moved up as much as Arabica.
Yeah. So Jayant, also just to let you must be aware, Brazil is the largest producer of Arabica, and Vietnam is the largest producer of Robusta. So Brazil has had all these weather impacts and frost and all that, but Vietnam has not had any of these. So that would probably explain,
Actually, we look at the London coffee prices that went up from $1,200 to almost $2,200. So do you mean that Indian prices are not governed by the international prices?
Oh, so they are governed, but there is also a level of you have to understand that it is not just the terminal prices that we talk about. There is a differential which is also there. And the differential and the terminal price put together, if you were to see, the increase has actually not been as much. It is almost literally been flat. Maybe about $100-200 more this year. Last year the terminals were low, but the differentials were almost double of what they are in the moment. So that's the fact that got missed in the entire thing. There is a terminal price and there is a differential for each geography, each country that is producing coffee.
Actually, if you look at the plantation segment, we don't make much profit in that segment. So what is the level at which the prices will be beneficial to Tata Coffee? The present prices, because present prices are almost double than the last year. So at what prices the plantation sector will do well? Segment.
So Jayant, it is like this. No, it is not price alone which will result in the profitability. There's a crop element also which comes in. Okay. So if I really see, so one is the crop which has to be there, and we have typically the on and off season and weather impacts and all that. Okay, on the coffee. Similarly, same thing with Tata. So there is a crop production impact which comes in, and then there is a price impact. Okay, so definitely if you say, kind of dynamically, if you just hypothetically speaking, crop is very good and the prices are good, then obviously we are sitting on a larger kind of, profitability. So also please remember, when you see the plantation profitability, it also has some impact on account of tea. Okay, tea has not been for us doing well. And tea has been, especially in this quarter, it has been impacted largely by weather-related factors, which Chaco also touched upon. So that the production has been lower, as a result of which the cost of production has been higher. And last year, for information, tea was an exceptionally good quarter last year because of the tea prices, which are very, very high. So I think quarter to quarter comparisons with a year last year for tea will not be right. So overall, we should look at in that sense in an overall perspective. But suffice to say, coffee and pepper we are doing well. And as we mentioned in the past analyst calls also, pepper we are definitely we have planted enough number of vines, and we expect the pepper production to go up over the year. But the caveat is always these weather and climate change factors which comes in, which probably one has to bear in mind.
Yeah, got it. So you said the harvesting season is on. I think for Robusta, the harvesting must have been completed. So how is the crop forecast for this season?
So Robusta is still very much on. Robusta typically finishes only by about March, end of February, early March. Arabica is what is nearing completion. The overall crop that we see is pretty much in line with the Indian crop, where we find that there is going to be a slight shortfall in the Arabica crop, but Robusta crop seems to be pretty much on estimates and how it was last year. And please remember, when I say shortfall, it is against last year. And it is also a factor of, as Venkat mentioned, off and on year. So this year actually is in most of our regions an off year. So even that needs to be taken into account.
So last year the crop was around, both put together, around 8,000 tons. So will it be around that level?
Maybe slightly marginally lower. It will be marginally lower, but definitely better than what the Indian crop will be this year. It is largely around the Arabica crop shortfall which is going to happen.
And what about pepper?
Pepper will be higher than the previous year.
That because of we have planted new vines. So
slowly they are coming into maturity. So over the next few years, it should do well. Provided if there's any adverse climate and weather conditions, then it gets impacted. Otherwise, we are on a good, we are poised for a good show on pepper over the years. Over the years.
Mm-hmm. Sir, you said that the logistic cost, the freight cost, has impact on our margins. So how we contract, whether they are on the CF basis or FOB basis?
See, what happened is normally we had a larger proportion of CIF contracts, but due to these freight impacts, we have successfully we have migrated to FOB contract, but it is not fully there, because it all depends on the customer kind of orders in that sense. But we have definitely succeeded in converting quite a bit of CIF to FOB contracts. But having said that, see, FOB or CIF, the problem what is happening is it is sort of impacting the overall commodity, overall landed price. So either we take the hit or the customer has to pay that. So that is the thing which we refer to.
Can you quantify to what extent this freight cost might have impacted our profit in this quarter?
Well, I should say about 3 to 4 crores roughly.
Okay.
Overall.
Okay. Yeah. So you said that our Jambore estate got Best Coffee Award at global level. So how that will benefit to our company?
So this is of course an award that we won on an Arabica coffee, this gives us, even more visibility of the high quality Arabica that we are purchasing, and we are producing. And the best part of this award was also the recognition of the fact that unlike most producing nations, the coffees that we are producing are actually coming in from shade grow, that is not mono cultivated coffee areas. So this to a great extent also ties in with the sustainability, the earth friendly requirements that lot of the roasters now demand. So this is greatly going to give that visibility to people that here is Tata Coffee. Not only are their teas really good to taste, but also they come with the added advantages of being good for the nature, good for people in the community. So I think we've already seen a lot of interest around the work that we are doing on the sustainability part from some major roasters in this new crop that we are actually harvesting. So there is a really good part. We also have to understand that other than this, the fact that we won this. India and Indian coffee has never won this award ever before, and so it is also a testament to the fact that India could produce such excellent coffees. So that's the other aspect to it.
Sir, we have been selling Sonnet since last, I think, 18 to 24 months, and also introduced this 8 o'clock coffee in India. So can you tell us how big these are as on date?
As on date, they are not large giants. So, because they are, as I told you, on Sonnets, there are specialty, single origin and all that.
There is a limit in terms of the total quantum that we can produce for Sonnets. Not that I'm saying that we have reached those numbers yet, but it is expected to be a premium product because of the story that comes along with the coffee that is being produced. So this is never going to be as large as say a Tata Coffee Grand or roasted ground coffee. This is always going to be something that is much more premium than that.
So this Sonnet is sold from our own plantation. So how is the price accounting is done on the plantation side and the value-added coffee side? Because Sonnet is a value-added coffee, I think. It comes in the value-added segment. So how that accounting is done?
So it is the way, as I told you, that Sonnet is sold by Tata consumers. We sell to Tata Coffee, and then and that is at the arm's length basis we sell to Tata consumers.
And this is based on obviously yes, there is a element of increased costs that come into producing these type of coffee, and a premium that you will have to pay for this particular type of coffee. So that's done it, as Venkat mentioned, purely at an arm's length basis.
Okay. So last question. You said that after 2 years we'll be one of the largest producer in avocado. So
couple of that is, I'm talking about largest planted area of avocado. The actual production obviously takes about 4 to 5 years for it to start economically yielding. But yes, the planting has started about a couple of years back. Not couple of years, on a very small scale, 2 years back. The larger areas are now being planted. So you will see in the next 4-5 years larger quantities of avocado coming.
This avocado is planted along with the coffee, or a separate area is allotted for avocado?
Separate area. It does not do well as an intercrop with coffee, so it's a separate area altogether. What we have actually done is to look at marginal areas where other crops cannot grow or they do not grow well enough, and use those areas to plant avocado.
Sir, can you quantify the area allotted for avocado and what is the productivity per acre or per hectare?
It is too early to give you productivity per acre, but suffice it to say, a plant typically can produce anything between 15 to 20 kgs per plant in its full mature state. And at the moment, I would not like to give you numbers in terms of the total hectareage, but as I mentioned, we would be definitely by far the largest producers of avocado.
Yeah. How are the realization per kilo?
You are aware of how expensive avocado is in the market. Now again, there are different varieties of avocados. As I think on the past call I had mentioned that this is a very particular variety called Tata. And this variety is far more expensive than the local Indian variety. I would not like to discuss this pricing because it's a subject of an NDA at the moment. I think a guess can be made from looking at the variety and the pricing that you see in the market. It is fairly remunerative.
So, what was the volume growth in 8 o'clock in this quarter as compared to corresponding quarter?
8 o'clock on the, it has more or less, the back business they have not grown. I won't say they have grown, but on the other channels they have grown.
But you also got to remember that
it was pantry filling and all that. But I would
not a right comparison to make. I think the performance has been good. I mean, despite all the challenges, I think they've done a very, very good job in terms of 8 o'clock.
So do you think this if inventory gain is will not be available in the coming quarters, so will it impact our profitability?
The idea is to
we won't say it will impact or anything like that. What is happening is that, when the coffee prices move up, obviously there can be some benefit. Okay, depending on whether you are long or short, depending on that.
I want to pass on the...
Sorry to interrupt, sir. There are several participants waiting for their turn. Could you please rejoin the queue?
Yeah. Thank you, and all the best. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll take our next question from the line of Ekta Mehta from Karma Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. You mentioned that in instant coffee, you have seen substantially higher export volume. So just wanted to check if there is any bunching of orders in this quarter and things to normalize from next quarter, or any one-offs in this quarter.
Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the management line is disconnected. We request you to please remain connected while we join them back. Please do not disconnect. Ms. Mehta, we request you to please remain connected. You might have to repeat your question though. We have the management line now reconnected.
Yeah.
Should I repeat it?
Hello. So we have Ms. Ekta Mehta connected from Karma Capital. Ms. Mehta, I think you'll have to repeat your question. Please go ahead.
Sir, you mentioned that in instant coffee, we have seen substantially higher export volume. So wanted to check if there is any bunching of orders in this quarter, or if there is any one-off in this quarter which is leading to such high growth.
No, there is no one-off in this quarter. These are regular sales that order book sales that we have garnered over the last couple of quarters.
So this run rate would be sustainable, or do you see the order book to come down?
No, so at the moment we feel that there is some pressure, but I don't think this is something that we are that worried about. Obviously, the pressures are around certain geographies And as I mentioned earlier, around the freight costs creating some issues. And of course, when the situation around is pretty volatile. I mean, like for example, take for example your Russia and Ukraine at the moment. But these are just too long term things to draw any conclusions to. We are pretty sanguine. We do feel that while there may be pressures, I think we should be able to overcome them.
Yeah, broadly, Ekta, the point is we have the capacity. See, as you know, we have got capacity saturated both in India and Vietnam. So obviously, we are able to match that to 8,000 tons roughly in that sense. That's where it is. But quarter on quarter, there will be obviously, depending on the order position, shipments, etc., it can be.
Okay. You mentioned, there was some inventory benefit, but, on the gross margin side, on a Q-on-Q basis, has actually come off. So what am I missing here?
You are seeing in the overall segment, where do you see that gross margin?
Standalone.
No, standalone has got various things. See, one is on the. See, you've got a kind of an amalgam of businesses. You have the plantations, you have extractions, both together. You're looking at, and you've got the tea impact which is coming in.
Okay, got it. And on the 8 o'clock side, can you break up the revenue into pricing and volume? The 7% growth that we've seen in the top line, if you could break it up into price and volume.
See, volume may not be substantial. Bulk of it, volume will be there. The channel mix contribution will be there. So both on the channels as well as on the channel mix, the volumes would be there, as well as some amount of improved realizations. Both are there. I'm not able to give you a exact split of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Lokesh Maru from Nippon India Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. I was just wondering, since our capacity of instant coffee processing, that is roasting and grounding in India and Vietnam, from what I've understood, has actually is working at peak right now, near peak right now, right? The utilization.
Yeah.
From the growth-wise, are we planning to get that growth by maybe improving our EBITDA per kg of pricing for this segment next year, or is there any plan to add any capacity? Any ideas around, since we have reached the peak of the utilization, any plans on growth on this segment through realizations or maybe CapEx through volume, anything like that?
Yeah, so we are looking at all levers. Okay, we are looking at all levers, but short-term levers will be more into looking at kind of debottlenecking opportunities, customized blends, premium kind of blends, all kind of variants which we are looking at. So this will be a combination of all levers which are looked at, because as you know, setting up an instant coffee facility takes time. It's about 18 to 24 months. So obviously, but then the management looking at all options in that sense.
Sure. But growth-wise, but you are positive, right? On realizations front through premiumization and.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the floor back to the management for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time out and attending this call. We hope to catch up with all of you in the next calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.